Are you a life coach who wants to make a difference in the world? Do you want to share your wisdom, passion, and experience with others? Do you want to grow your business and reach more clients? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need Life Coaching Today. Life Coaching Today is the largest platform on the web for life coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists who want to enhance their visibility, gain exposure, and connect with clients. Life Coaching Today is more than just a directory. It's a network of opportunities. By joining Life Coaching Today, you will get access to a magazine where you can be featured and connect with over 30 million subscribers. Be a guest to our podcasts with over 55,000 subscribers. A directory where you can showcase your profile, services, and testimonials to thousands of potential clients. And that's not all. Life Coaching Today also offers a free 30-minute coaching session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can be coached or meet your next client. A flexible pricing plan where you can choose the best option for your budget and goals. A dedicated customer service team where you can get help and guidance whenever you need it. So what are you waiting for? Join Life Coaching Today and take your life coaching career to the next level. Visit www.lifecoachingtoday.com and sign up today. Life Coaching Today, the largest portal on the web connecting coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists.
Oh my goodness. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. It is 7:02. I hope you were watching all of the marketing little blurbs. Because I was like, oh, look, I see my bestie on there. And I see sister girl Greta too on there getting her session. Good morning again, everyone. I am Kiddada Esmer Gray, conflict coach with Life Coaching Today Presents. Thank you for joining me so early this morning. I am not bouncing off the walls this morning because I am in pain this morning. The weather is changing once again here in Atlanta. And when the weather changes, that means that I start flaring. So I'm not in my regular location. I'm in the padded chair with the pillow. See, I got to have my little pretty pillow with me because this weather is kicking my butt. And when you have, like I do, fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain illness, yeah, it's just a day. I've been dealing with this for the last, 6, 7 years now. So the ride continues. It is what it is. But yeah, shout out to anyone that's dealing with what we call the silent diseases because you can't see it, right? I know what I'm going through. I might look a little cute because I got the red lipstick on, but whoo, y'all, my body is kicking my butt this morning. But we are here. I am here, and God is good. It is what it is today. So today is the last day of Black History Month. And if you're like me, I'm going to tell y'all something right now. Don't forget to pay your rent. You don't have an extra couple of days. Over here in my world, we have the last day is the first. I had never dealt with that before. Rent being the last day. Usually it's the first day, people. It's the first day. But last day of Black History Month. And so we have an awesome show to kick off or to end this month. But we're going to do Black History all year because guess what? It should be that way. It should be that way. So as you guys can see in this space, and I think I've talked to you all about this before, that I have a couple Black jockeys on my wall. And if you were not aware, jockeys in the United States initially were not white. Why? Because guess what? Our other brothers and sisters at the time did not do any hard work. See how I did that? And so therefore, racing horses was left to Black men. And so these two brothers right here, please don't ask me what their names are. I can't remember, but they are the original of about 16 Black jockeys in the United States. And I'm telling you, this history is amazing. Go look it up. The history of Black jockeys. You'll be like, I didn't even know. But yeah, I love to collect Black art, and I love to collect Black art that even has some historical significance to it, like these brothers right here. And if I was a short girl, I would show you the picture above, but short girl, because I swear this one right here, every time I look at him, I'm like, that looks like Michael Jordan. But maybe it's just me. So yeah, so that's some interesting Black history that's in my kitchen this morning. I want to talk to you guys about my time on Sesame Street because, your girl is about to be a star. I didn't have any speaking roles, but in my mind, I'm going to be a star. And it's going to get me this much closer to Denzel. Denzel and I are going to make a fantastic movie. And y'all going to come see it just because I said so. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because I will have on later Chamber 7 and Jacqueline King. And Chamber 7 is a poet and actor, and Jacqueline King is a director, actor, producer, writer, all the things here in Atlanta. And guess what? They just happen to be some of my closest friends. Jackie and I go all the way back to Colgate University because that's where we went to college. And Chamber and I have been friends, I don't know how many years now. And they live here in Atlanta. And Chamber was actually my Sesame Street husband. Look at that, y'all. The world is tiny, but the world is large at the same time. And so fun times, fun times. Desk of Kiddada, I just want to talk about that real quick, y'all. I don't know what happened this week, so I didn't read. I've been working. I don't know what happened to the month of February. It was like, we need to get out of here and get into March. So I have not done my reading because, I do have my book with me, The American Identity in Crisis. And we actually spoke about not only this book, but we spoke about identity last week. And I was saying I was in a place that I didn't even know I could arrive to a place that I'm at right now, because our journeys are so different. Some of us, our titles get interchanged. So our titles are interchangeable. Like, I'm a mom, but I'm not the same type of mom I was because all my kids are grown now. I'm an entrepreneur. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. Never thought I'd be a life coach, a conflict coach. Never thought. So I keep adding on these things. But yeah, I did not do my homework, y'all. So I'm a little bit behind, but I do, this is tell y'all how extra I am. I do have my alpaca socks on because guess what? They're warm. And I do own alpaca socks. Those are a thing, y'all. Those are a thing. So if you were on the Team Kiddada is Extra crew, there you have it. I've got my alpaca socks on this morning. But I do want to talk about two kind of topics, something that just kind of came to me. And one part is political and the other one is just talking about our behaviors as human beings, right? And so if you've been watching, if you're politically active, or even if you're like, hey, wait, I heard this in the news and I didn't understand what was occurring. So across the nation, we are in the space of doing presidential primaries. That means we are voting for who's going to be at the top of the ballot come November, as well as when you vote in a primary, it allows you to designate how many delegates a state has that goes towards the presidential primary and all of that fun stuff. One day I'll explain it, but right now I just want to talk about a theme that came out of it. And I was like, wait a minute, we need to discuss this. So in Michigan, and let me just say, you vote for a Republican and a Democratic primary, okay? If you're in Georgia, voting is occurring right now. It's early voting time for the Democratic primary. So in Michigan, right now, I guess it was yesterday or a couple days ago, the primary was occurring and there was a trend. So someone thought it was good political strategy to come up with the phrase uncommitted, meaning that when you look down the ballot, And if you weren't aware of this, I hope you all know by now that you can actually type in your own name, somebody else's name at the ballot box. If you didn't know that, there's your little piece of information, tidbit of information this morning. So yeah, you can act, and oddly enough, I think Mickey Mouse is the number one person always that's handwritten into the ballot or typed into the ballot. So just so if you didn't know, now you know. So part political strategy, frustrated by, I'm trying to be really strategic this morning and nice because I'm a little frustrated once this kind of occurred to me. So, we have the war going on or / genocide, whichever team that you're on between Israel and the Palestinians. And so that is challenging a lot of people in this country, especially Democrats. And I'm just going to speak from that space because guess what? I am a Democrat and I feel a necessity to share that with you all because I understand the frustrations. And so there's always different factions, there's different types of Democrats, and identity comes into play because who we identify with is sometimes a true reflection of our political art and theater. That's what I'm going to call it. And so we have our brothers and sisters who are Muslims, Arabs, Egyptians, all types of different Muslims in Michigan that are quite frustrated about the US's hands in policy right now with Netanyahu. And literally, I'm going to call it the art of war because not as only is there war on the ground, there's also war in the United Nations, NATO, there's all this, and I'm talking about the war of language and ideology right now. And so because of that, our Muslim brothers and sisters who have one of the largest voting blocs in Michigan across the United States, decided with others that they were going to come up with this concept, #uncommitted. Okay. And so last night, as I was sitting minding my business and thinking through some things, I said, wait a minute. Because if you can go to the ballot box and type in the word uncommitted, are you really uncommitted? Now, let me just tell you the ideology around this. The ideology is simply this, that I'm just frustrated, y'all. So the ideology and the thought process is this, that because Biden is at the top of the ticket, there aren't really a lot of other people with the name ID and recognition that our current president has. So if you are an incumbent with the person who now is holding that position, right, your name ID is going to be incredibly high. And to the historical fashion, there's only been very few presidents, former presidents, who've never won a second reelection and or the Democratic primary ballot. They're not at the top, right? Like at the ticket, just like former President Trump is at the top of the Republican ticket. That does not mean that other individuals cannot run for office. We do have other Democrats running for office. However, they're just not, name recognition ID is not there. Heck, I forget that they are there. So here's the strategy about saying uncommitted because they're not happy with Biden. So it's a protest, right? The art of war, y'all. And so they're writing up the uncommitted. By the way, Biden still took the top of the ticket. He is still the person at the top in Michigan. All the delegates are going that way. And I'm not saying that this action was not something that they didn't need to do. I'm here for it. Everyone gets the opportunity to do that. But this idea of language and being uncommitted, I just want to tell y'all something. silent communication, because we forget sometimes that that our communication strategies are always verbal. Sometimes it is the silent communication that is louder than anything else that you do. So writing in the word, typing in the word uncommitted is an act of somewhat of silence, but it's an action, right? And actions can be very loud as they were supposed to try to drive home a message about this level of frustration. But it sat with me about this idea of being uncommitted. You're not really uncommitted if you're actually writing up the word committed. And uncommit. So the irony of it all, and I want to say this. We are so used to people verbally saying things to us that we miss the silence of the unsaid, right? And when we miss the unsaid, I think that's where the details are. And sometimes that's where the truth lies. So on the receiving end, I'm going to share with you all, always watch how people move, right? And so that is, and let me correct myself. I'm going to say move consistently, because I'm a big person on intention. I want to know why people's behaviors are that way, because the eye can trick us, right? The eye and our brain function, we can sometimes see what we think we want to see, what we think we know to be true, but it's not really true. So I always ask for intentions, for clarity, because we want clarifying questions. But I promise you that sometimes it is the unsaid things when people aren't moving fast enough, or they do something that is contrary to their word. And so that is just something that we on the receiving end need to watch. And then on the execution side of it, right? Like, I'm going to give you a good example. If you know me, I love to eat. I do. I mean, I look like I love to eat, but I love really good food. More than likely, if you and I are out eating, you will never hear me say, "Oh my God, this is really good food." Like, I will very rarely say that, but what I will do is this. I will start doing that while I'm eating. That's my silent communication around, oh my God, this food is fantastic. And I'm actually aware of it, right? I am super aware of what I am putting out into the world. And we should be mindful of what we're putting out into the world, because the things that we are not saying are actually pretty loud as well. And it made me wonder, like, do we as adults know that? Do we really understand that? I think we move in the world. We just wake up in the morning. We go through our actions of life. We interact with our coworkers. We interact with our family members. And sometimes we don't even understand what it is that we are putting out. And that silent communication of what it is that we're doing, it is telling a story about us in the moment in time in our lives. It shows all of our emotions, our happiness, our unhappiness. If you see me sometimes, you will know, like, I have a face that I do kind of like, you'll know if I'm not happy. I don't even have to say anything, but I'm always conscious of that silent communication. And sometimes, here's what's interesting, right? Secrets of the brain. Sometimes we are intentionally doing it as well. So if you're not even familiar with that, like, you can actually intentionally put out this energy of don't be around me, don't say anything to me, that kind of thing. So I just thought that was really interesting around in the political space about the uncommitted silent conversation and action around pushing back. We don't like these candidates. We don't like these people. And if you think about in your own life, how do you press back on, I don't like a certain someone, or I don't like a particular activity? Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to keep trending, this uncommitted kind of thing, but if you are intentional about taking an action, your action is not as silent as you think. Okay. So I am checking time because hopefully everyone will sign on when they're supposed to. One sister girl is out in California right now. So the time, Lord, we're going to hope she wakes up. But before I take a quick break, I do want to tell you all a fascinating story. So I'm going to pull out the phone. Y'all, I got the new phone, the new Samsung, new phone era. In closing about a really interesting Black History Month thing. So y'all gonna talk about me. It's all right. I know who I am, and y'all gonna be mad at me. But this is a story about Cadillac, and I thought this is an interesting story. Now, for me, y'all, I'm a Caribbean girl. We growing up, we do not have a ton of Cadillacs in the Caribbean. I'm like, now I'm sure there are, but back in the day, that wasn't a thing. Okay. And so, but guess what? Um, do y'all know that Black folks saved Cadillac? Can y'all? I didn't know that story. And so until that was fascinating to me. So Cadillacs, let me just tell you my Cadillac theology, I'm gonna call it a theology in practice, is that for me, Cadillac is like an old person's car. I'm just gonna say it. It just looks like an old person's car. Like I feel like old Black people, I don't know, y'all. Old person's car. Like I never thought about, like, it's not a Maserati. It doesn't drive fast. It doesn't, I don't know what the vibe is about Cadillac, but it doesn't give me the vibe that I'm like, yes, I need a Cadillac. However, I know there's some crew members out here that's from like Cleveland, Ohio area, I think, that love a good Cadillac. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe there's certain places across the United States where Cadillacs are a thing, but yes, I'm a hater and I'm going to say all the things. But here's a story about Cadillac, right? Because, so Cadillac, I think it was in Detroit, I think. Because of course I pulled a story that doesn't have the location of Cadillac, but I will say this though, like in the 1930s, that was like the status car. And dealerships in the 1930s, as you all may or may not know, African Americans weren't really allowed to go into dealerships and buy brand new cars. Who knew? And so, especially if they were in segregated areas. So, if you were a Black professional with means, or you had saved up enough money to buy the new hottest car, right? Then you were probably going to be like, listen, I need my caddy. And so that was not a thing. You could go buy a beat up car, an old used car, some throwaway car, but you could not. So 30s, 40s, 50s, well into the 1960s, you could not do that. So that was really interesting information for me. So the thought process was we will only sell to white people and not to Black or brown people or anybody else, right? So that was the thing. So you have like your luxury cars at the time. I just want to say this are Caddies, Lincolns, Chryslers, and then something called Packards. I've never heard of a Packard, but it is what it is. So you could get if you were a Black person, if you wanted a luxury car, you could do it via a private sale. So you could go to a white person who you knew was selling their car and you could buy one that way. Well, that was very rarely done, but it was done. But that does not mean that we actually we could not walk into the dealership. So it was not policy on paper, which I find really interesting, good protection strategy, but you could not get one. You know how that undercover racism was back in the day. It was like that silent communication, y'all. We ain't saying, but we're saying. So here's a luxury car. And so they started struggling. Cadillac started struggling because when people started losing their jobs, mainly white people started losing their jobs and so forth, guess what? They could not make car payments. Cars were not selling. Okay. So guess what? Black people became another income stream. One of the workers, his name was actually, let me see if I could find it. I think his name was Nicholas Drystat in the 1930s. Um, I'm just going to read this because I think this is fascinating. So he noticed that affluent Blacks who never appeared in Cadillac new car showrooms were bringing their cars in for service. So, okay, so they were able to get the cars, but they couldn't get it serviced, right? So once again, like I said, these caddies were sold to from white men to blacks. And so he was just like, well, hey, corporate, why not if we decide to sell directly to blacks, they can come in. It's another income stream. Not only we selling cars, but um, we're also doing service on them. More money, more money. And so because of Nicholas, guess what? Black folks were able to start buying Cadillacs. And so you might be like, well, wait a minute, why are you saying that Blacks saved Cadillacs? Well, because guess what? In the 1930s, it was the Depression, y'all. And so because of that, if you know anything about the history of the Depression, a lot of people lost their jobs. So people of means and wealth lost all their money. And so they didn't have money in the stock market. They didn't have cash. Money went out. You couldn't get money out of the banks. But guess who did have cash? So this tells you the dynamics of race and integration, as well as integration into the public and private markets in the United States, including banks. So because of the fact that a lot of Black people did not have access to banks, just a thought. Hear me on this. Hear me on this. African Americans had access to ready available cash streams. Okay. And during the Depression, so because we didn't have money sitting in banks or in the stock market, we had cash. And guess what? We were able to buy, purchase, and service Cadillacs. So because so it's kind of like the roundabout, reverse it back, racism coming into the benefit of a white establishment that did not want us, but then utilizing us for their benefit. Again, let me say this again. You had a white establishment that um, did not care for Black money and Black consumers because they did not want them walking inside of a dealership to actually to purchase their cars, or if they did have cars, they could not take them in to service it. So Nicholas decided, hey, here's another income stream. We can do this. We can go to this portion of the population, Black people who they did not want in the first place, but they realized that they had access to cash. Yet let's utilize them to help grow our business. Seems like a trend that is always manifesting itself. And so that is the history and why, after the late 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, into the 70s, that's how Blacks saved Cadillac. And so, what is interesting, I'm not saying that this was an overnight thing, it definitely wasn't, because well into the 1970s, y'all, into the 1970s, even the advertisement all only had white people in it. And that historically, that makes sense. And what I mean by that is that that was just the trending time. Blacks in media was still not a thing, but that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I think that story is fascinating because the economic power that African Americans have to save a company that didn't want us in the first place. So that way we could have access to what was deemed one of the luxury items is fantastic. So, Yoruba, I'm going to say let's go to break as we're still waiting on our guests. And I'm going to take a sip because of coffee, because y'all, I'm thirsty and I am in need of it. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Sesame Street. All right, we're going to talk about Sesame Street. Oh, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada.
Welcome back. Why was this like the shortest break ever? And I didn't even get to take a sip, so y'all bear with me. See, there I went my because the coffee is good, y'all. The coffee is good this morning. All right, so the guests are here. The guests are here. So my awesome producer, Yoruba, if you'd want to bring them on screen. I love it. I love it. I love it. Welcome, you guys.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Oh, hey, pretty girl. Hey.
Good morning.
Look at you. Okay, I'm gonna need you to fix your face, sir. Look like you happy to be alive this morning.
I literally thought that it was like a picture because he was like so still.
Good morning. Good morning. What's going on? How we doing?
Good.
We were hanging in there.
What kind of photo was that? Good morning, y'all. Thank you all for joining me this morning on Life Coaching Today Presents and Miss Jacqueline King Howell. Thank you for joining us all the way from California. I know it's mad early for you.
It is.
Thank you to you. And Sean over here looking like a whole picture. I don't know how we get that done, but
Yes.
you have to tell us that. So
Always prepare, I guess.
Good morning. I don't know where y'all went. I'm like, where y'all going? Y'all going in and off the screen. So
Low in my ear.
am I low? Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. Let me see. I'm increasing the volume. So everyone out there in the world, I wanted to end this month with some creativity, right? Because the power of language, the power of Black voices in media, in the acting space, and the two best people that I could think of, Jacqueline King Howell, who is one of the besties from way back. I told y'all we went to Colgate University, and we've known each other forever. That means we're still only 27, but we made it work. We made it work.
Yes, the power of belief.
Right, manifestation.
Yes.
Don't get put off the show. So first thing in the morning, don't.
That was me agreeing.
Okay. And then my brother, Chamber 7, I'm gonna call him by his stage name. And Sean for all the ladies out there. All right, so I'm just gonna put that out there. And
Come on, all the ladies.
all the ladies. Um, and just talk about like how you guys started in the acting industry, why you ended up into this creative space, the power of Black voices, and in poetry, in screenwriting, in screenplays, in all of those kind of things. So, Jackie, I just want you to give a quick synopsis of who you are, of all the
Okay.
things, and
All
how
the
you
things.
started in this business.
Well, like you said, we went to Colgate together, and I literally started doing drama from college. And then when I graduated, kind of got behind the scenes. So I worked at Vibe Magazine, Madison Square Garden, did the VMAs, all that kind of stuff. And then finally got the courage to segue into what I really love to do, and just started putting myself out there and started going to audition, booking some roles. It wasn't going fast enough, the age-old story. So I flipped to behind the camera. My mom had just passed, and I was trying to figure out how to deal with all of that, all those emotions and that sadness. And I have a friend out here in California who told me to write it all down. And I wrote it, shared it with him. He thought it should be turned into a script. I did draft after draft after draft, tightened the script. He came on board as the director, and we shot our first short, which Sean was also a part of. He's been a part of a lot of productions that I've done, and that was called Judy's Child, after my mother. And then I'm like, I really love this. I love being behind the scenes. I love writing. I love directing, and would take classes here and there, try to shadow anyone who would let me be a pest on set, and literally just started writing and really just trying to raise money, and did White Picket Fence, which did really well on the film festival circuit. My first film did really well with ABFF. We were in the top 20. And then that got some, presence on Amazon and Roku and stuff like that. Went to White Picket Fence. That did well. Then did In Fear for My Life, my social justice piece, and Sesame Street saw White Picket Fence. And if you've ever seen White Picket Fence, I think Sean and I to this day don't understand.
I'm so concerned about
Yeah, blessings upon blessings, I guess, because
right, because that's a very dark comedy, and they
Right.
saw it and loved it and got hired to do some stuff with Sesame Street. And we are in our 5th production now with Sesame Street, that both of you lovely people were a part of. And I actually did a documentary for Colgate based on the first Black men to went to the school between 1840 and 1930. And currently in pre-production for a feature that I wrote, a romantic dramedy that I'm super excited about. So that's it in a nutshell. Your turn, John.
Yeah, your turn, Sean. Y'all, he's my introducing my Sesame Street husband. Y'all, this
Yes.
is my Sesame Street.
well, I joined the acting space actually kind of in a different route. I started off as a spoken word artist way back in Virginia. I was fresh out of a very, very difficult situation by myself, and a friend of mine invited me out to an open mic that I had no idea what an open mic was. And it just so happened that I had one poem that I had rewritten and revised so many times that I had it memorized. So when they called, they said, if anybody wants to come to the stage, would you like to come to the stage? I said, sure, let me see what happens. And I remember stumbling that one time, and somebody way in the back said, hey, just start over again. And it felt so good. I was like, you know what? I want to keep doing this. So thanks to all the creative poets in the Virginia area that kind of encouraged me. A year later, I had become a regular feature at one of the local spots. And then I put out my first album. I went over to California. I started doing shows. I had won so many times at one slam that they actually made me the host for a while, because I think the host at the time was starting to leave. So I became the host of the show, became really good friends with the DJ. He introduced me to some things, and then, one connection after the other. When I finally came back to the Virginia area, I think I ended up making my way up to New Jersey. That's when Jack and I actually interacted with each other. We became really close friends really fast, understanding that both of us had a very strong passion for film and television. And then one thing led to another, and we ended up just always working together. I always told her, whenever you need me, just let me know when and where, and I'm there. Like half the time, I didn't even know I was getting paid. I was just surprised when she'd send money to me. And I'd be like, "Oh, word! I get paid for this too!" Like it was that much, you know. So, I do have to say it's been an honor and a privilege working with Jack this entire time. Like she's been an immense blessing to me, not only on camera as a professional in the set, but also just as a friend, encouraging me. Lately, she's had me writing my own scripts as well, because a lot of my poems feel like scripts as well. So I've been doing a lot of that work, and we've just been encouraging each other through this path, and it's been a blessing so far. So.
I love it. Thank you. And Sean, I don't think you know this, but we were supposed to meet. And I don't know if we did meet when I was in Jersey. Remember that, Jackie?
Yeah.
You were.
Oh, yeah.
So y'all, we go way, way back.
We go way back.
I think
we're still in our 20s. Don't forget
That's
that.
Right. Yeah.
We're 27 on repeat because this.
Listen.
Exactly.
I have learned acting math, y'all. So you know.
Acting math. I gotta use that. Acting math. Yes.
So I am blessed to have both of you guys in my life, because actually Chamber back in the day, he don't even remember this, y'all, because his mind ain't that good, but like he used to read my poetry. He don't even remember that. He was actually mean to me, y'all. He was mean to me. But what I have come to realize, though, he was probably going through something. He's much nicer to me now.
He's not. He wasn't mean. He was a critical eye. That's all.
That wasn't a critical eye. This brother was going through something. He was going through something. But Jackie, you and I had a conversation only a few years back when we were 22.
Keep getting younger and younger, but okay.
We're 22 because we're 27 now. Your process for writing, because if I recall correctly, at Colgate, you didn't really deem yourself to be a writer. You weren't like in all my creative writing classes with me and all. How did the word become powerful to you?
I think definitely my mom's passing, because I feel like no one talks about, you hear all the time about the grief of losing a spouse or a child. No one really talks about the vacuum you're in when you lose a parent, especially a good parent. Like my mom was like the cat's meow. And no one talks about that hopeless and helpless feeling, and you just don't know how to convey it. So being able to turn to writing, like I wrote a lot back in Barbados. I wrote a lot in high school, and I've always enjoyed writing, but I just knew I was going to be an actor, and that's what I was going to be. And, you know, my first time out the gate, I got a role opposite Jim Carrey. You can tell me nothing. I just knew it was on and popping. And then I didn't work for years, right? I did a lot, especially when you live in New York, you tend to do a lot of theater. It's very much a theater town, which I love, because I believe, and maybe this is just me being a cynical thespian, but I believe theater is like, you know, that sets the bar. So I did a lot of theater, but I didn't do a whole lot of film or TV, did student films and short films and stuff like that. And then I would get like little things. I think the last thing I did was The Deuce on HBO, just before I had my daughter. And I just loved being able to create all these stories. I'm like, if I can create something about my mom that actually happened, and I have a very active imagination. And, you know, growing up in Barbados, you read a lot. We had one channel, and that sucker went off between 12 and 5 p.m. And sometimes it was just too damn hot outside to play. You know what I'm saying? So you read. So, and you just would go to all these different worlds and have all these different adventures. And I'm like, what would happen if I trusted myself, you know, take some classes to tighten my technique, but really trusted myself and put pen to paper? Because literally when I first started, I was old school. I was doing pen to paper. There was no typewriter. I would write that sucker down in a book, and I still have all my books, and then type it out. And I just love it. I always tell my friend, Jennifer Fouché, who's an amazing actress, I always say to her, anytime I don't have to put on a lash or a heel, it's a good day. So for me, I don't miss that part of it at all. You know what I'm saying? I like being able to just write. And I like to be by myself. So I like to just write in my little office. And then I love to go and set and work with amazing talent, you know. And I think that's why Sean and I work so well together, because he's such a professional and he's so crazy talented. And I love for my friends who are super talented to get shine, because this business is all about connections. And sometimes people can't act out of a plastic bag, but they get these opportunities and it drives me insane. But it's also, as I always say, it's the business of show. So I get it. So I just love that. I love being in a position to give people opportunities. I love being able to create all these different worlds. And, you know, it's really my passion.
I love it. So,
And I know
Sean,
I might not sound like I'm passionate, but it's like
she's
4:30 in the morning. So forgive me.
She is, y'all. She is. I promise y'all. Sean, you are a spoken word artist. And so we heard you were going through a situation. So you had been writing something. I.e., y'all, we all know what that situation with that code word is for. But we just gonna leave that alone. We know what the code is for that. But I'm gonna put you on the spot because I know you have words, sentences, stanzas in your head. Can we hear some of your
Absolutely.
Can you bless us?
I can do that. I always have a piece prepared for situations just
Love
like
it.
this.
Love it.
It's yours, brother. Let's get it. Okay,
It's much too obvious to deny. It only takes a moment to notice when your palms begin to sweat and there's a sudden feeling of unrest that culminates into a stir of emotion. It's belittled by the notion of just being a strong physical attraction of the unnerving reaction to the turmoil of one's chemical imbalance. You see the joining of two people in open view that started off as just a glance and then became a simple dance and is now a budding romance going on to nearly 30 years strong, can't be confused with anything other than love.
Ooh,
That's my piece.
look at that.
And I'm not afraid to say that the usual situation is usually a heartbreak. And yes, that is absolutely true. That was one of the many situations I've endured that kind of spawned it for my writing and creativity. So, but I think that I've always used my writing and my talent in a way to heal myself. So it was a way to get it out. I tried not to put a lot of anger into my work, but instead I tried to use every stanza of my poetry as a rung to kind of climb out of the pit that I feel myself in when I get into those situations where my heart's been broken or I've been put off to the side or I felt a way about something. So.
Ooh, first of all,
I like that.
You out here talking about the rung. And then that whole sentence was poetic in and of itself.
It's a habit now. It's just a habit.
It's a habit. But I love it. Thank you for reciting that for me. And I just want to tell the audience, because y'all know I'm a life coach, and I want to say pain can drive you to write. Literally drive you to write. That is a healthy version. Okay. Yes. That is a healthy way to manifest all of your pain.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing some other things. And I don't mean go write a manifesto, people. What I'm talking about is go put down your thoughts, your feelings, as well as accepting of all of the emotion that you are feeling. So that is important to put down on paper, including your anger. And I love the fact that I've got a brother on here that's like, listen, the means to which how I'm getting my emotions out is via poetry and spoken word. I love that. Utilizing your voice is so key, people. Utilize your voice, because the stories that you have inside yourself is someone else's story. I promise you that. So I have a question. This is a hard-hitting question for you both. So take a deep breath. I'm not trying to challenge too much, but I do have a question. So I know. So I'm gonna go to something. How broke have you been in the artist space?
Ooh, yeah.
Because let me just say this
about today.
Let me just say this, y'all. So I spoke earlier about making my debut on Sesame Street, and I'm just gonna say I did not have any I did not have any lines. Hopefully next time around I'll be trusted enough to have a line. But so I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter, but
Okay, I got you.
Hey.
but I'm just gonna say that I was paid $100. So that's my first gig, right? That was my first paid gig. I think it's 100 or whatever. So we're gonna call it 100. But when I started calculating how much I was getting paid per hour, y'all, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I need to go work at McDonald's because I'm about to be broke. Because I know people cannot live their lives on extra work, y'all. So how broke have you been, brother, in this space? How broke have you been?
I've been blessed with the ability to kind of maneuver in such a way that I always kind of had a full-time job, and I usually kind of kept the cachet on the side. However, I understand the pain in the sense that you do invest in an enormous amount of time. And the struggle has always been when you tell people you're involved in the business of entertainment, they all think you're getting cut a huge check every time you step in front of a screen. And that is not the case. I would like to think that the recent actor strike, just told everybody what they were getting paid. I think the average was like $27,000 a year. Actors are not getting paid a tremendous amount for the amount of initial investment that they're making with their life, because you're spending an enormous amount of your time on set just to get a few $100s. A lot of times extras get paid $100 for 12, 13 hours worth of work. That's average. And if you're a feature extra, you're not getting that much more, even though you got featured in front of your name. So even as a spoken word artist, a lot of times I would drive 2-3 hours to get to a spoken word set. And then to get a feature set, I might get $50 for that. And that barely covers the gas in the car. So I don't think a lot of people understand, in every artist space, a lot of these artists are putting a lot of their passion and their pain on stage. And it takes them a tremendous amount of time before they even hit the stage, before they even get in front of the screen. And there's not enough investment into those people just to say, hey, how you doing? You want a cup of coffee or anything like that. You don't necessarily have to give them money, but just show some appreciation for their art. A lot of times you hear people say, oh, well, I get this all the time. Oh, well, I hear you're an actor, so you must not be doing that well because you're here, right? And I'm like, no, as an actor, you got to supplement your income, brother. That's not how it works. So it's definitely a work of love. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Wait, Jay, I can't hear you. You muted yourself.
Sorry about that. I always tell people that you definitely have to love this business, as Sean said, to be in it, because approximately less than 1% is who makes the money. Every single person, I promise you, are not making enough money to even get health care, even if you're in the union, right? So let's start there. And then you have the fact, like Sean said, if you're non-union, you're on set for several hours and you're probably making a little over 100. If you're union, you're only making maybe 50. I don't know. I have to go check. I'm SAG, but I have to go and check the rules to see how much additional you're making now. But it's not a lot, and you're on set for long periods of time. And I've been on sets. I've worked as an extra, and you're usually sometimes in a very large room on folding chairs, harsh lunchroom lighting, and you're just there. Sometimes you're in holding for hours and you go on set for 20 minutes in a whole day, right? And they treat you like cattle in some spaces. They literally treat you like cattle. If you are fortunate to be a featured extra, then you might have your own hair, makeup, and someone to dress you. If you're under 5, which is under 5 lines, or some where you have a speaking role, then you get a trailer, which is another step up. So you have that you have to deal with. Then you have to look at everything that goes in to make sure you're prepared. So the classes, the materials, like your headshots or books that you have to read, hair and makeup. There's so much, a lot of expenses that go into being an actor before you really start seeing a return that justifies what you're putting out. And no one really talks about that. You know what I'm saying? And it's a very expensive business to be in. No one gets into acting and becomes a millionaire. You don't even become a thousandaire.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't make. I've gone years as an actor where if I made $1,000 for the year, I made a lot,
Wow.
and that's the whole year.
Wow.
And then when I look at what I'm putting out, because headshots, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, I haven't done it in like 5 years. Well, actually, got a gig last year.
Mhm.
But correct me if I'm wrong, like headshots could be like 500 or more,
Oh yeah,
dollars.
sometimes up to like $1,200 for a whole set. Absolutely, yes,
Wow.
ma'am. And that's
Okay.
And
just
then
just your headshots, and that's like
that's
3
just
looks
your
if you're lucky.
headshots.
Yep.
And that's not adding all the actors access and stuff that you have to be on, and those cost a fee. That's not including sending out postcards and stuff to
Mhm.
agencies and directors you've met to keep yourself on their radar. Like it's a very expensive business. And then joining the union is several $1,000s. When I joined, it was like $3,000.
Yep.
And once you join the union, you can't work on non-union projects,
Right.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so then you have to wait around and hope somebody hires you for a SAG project. And it's
Right.
easier to get a non-union project sometimes than it is to get a SAG project.
Right.
So yeah. So when I hear people going like, why are you guys striking? And go get a real job or, blah, blah, blah. It
Right.
grinds my gears because that's like me saying, don't go do what you love because I don't consider it's a real job. And
Right.
people are making a real investment.
Mhm.
And you're studying to be really amazing at your craft, right? Because some people have raw talent, but you still have to learn the technique. You
Right.
still got to learn, downstage and left wing from right wing and marks and the
Right.
whole kit and caboodle, and know how to bring it down for a screen versus how to really project for the stage. Like there's so much that goes into this business, and people who see the top stars and think, oh, these rich. Nope, that's not the majority of people in this business by any stretch of the imagination.
Exactly.
So,
So
yeah.
we get to absorb the information, the work, right? We as the viewers get to absorb it, and a lot of people are just like they take for granted that you guys, it's actually a job that they're actually watching, right? They're watching, execute this skill, and then they're still like, so you making millions and millions and millions of dollars, which you're not. So now I have a messy question. Okay, well, I have a messy question because I've been waiting to find somebody who can answer this for me.
Let me put myself back on mute.
So since you all just told us about the fact that, like, okay, so you guys have, there's expenses. You're not making tons of money. Hint, hint. I need it to be a featured extra next time. I'm gonna move up in the world, Miss Jackie.
Extra.
Closed mouths don't get fed, y'all. We got to go ahead and just ask for what we
Let's go
want.
and put it out there.
I'm gonna put it out.
Claim it.
So now that we know that there's expenses, it's like, and Georgia is in the space of extra work. Like there is a ton of extra work. But here's my messy question of today. So we know the color purple.
Oh Lord.
Down the street, down the way, down. And our sister girl Taraji, right, was in a complaint that she had to drive her own car. Is that something that? Well, how y'all feel about that? Like, what did you all think about how they were treated? I'm gonna lean in so we can get some tea on this as professionals.
I think for me, because of SAG, there are SAG rules that SAG has in place to protect its actors. So you can't work longer than a certain time, right? Or if you do, it's a certain bump increase in pay. You can't, there's certain rates for if it's raining, there's certain rates if it's a dangerous set. Driving to work, as mundane as that might seem, I think we lost Sean. As mundane as that might seem, it's all about insurance and liability. Suppose or hire you for a job and something happens to you on your way to work.
Okay.
Then what? So it's in SAG rules as far as I could remember, and I'll double check this. That's not what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to have a driver. You're supposed to have someone take you. Like when I work, I've literally had someone escort me to set because there are cables and there's this and all this can happen. So you have to have it's not them being demanding or being divas. You know what I'm saying? And you're supposed to have a trailer. Like, how are you having people, I guess, out in a general holding area? You're supposed to be in that. That's just, I don't think I've ever been on a set where I had like a role or something and there wasn't I was a featured extra and I had my own person to do hair and makeup and you know I just can't understand that. I'm sorry, right? Because you're literally on set for 14 plus hours.
Mhm.
That's and you're doing like Taraji did that scene where she's dancing on top of the table, I think like 5 or more times. And that's a lot of energy. You have to have the same amount of passion. They don't want to hear you tired. You better be on every single time.
Right.
So for me, I don't think he was wrong. I think there's such a huge disparity. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah.
I think my issue with the situation was everyone piling on to Oprah. I don't understand why we pile on to each other. And that's all I'm saying. I'm like, why are we piling on to each other? I'm just like, I just think some people, not all, have other issues with her. So they were coming from that space.
Yep.
And I think all the real money makers, the real decision makers got lost in the shuffle and were able to leave the situation unscathed. And people need to understand that as a producer you're not on set every single day. You're not knowing literally you're there to try to get the money to make shit happen.
Okay.
You're not there to like constantly be, is this done? And as soon as she was called and told about it, she made it happen.
Right.
But I think people get so caught up in this, I like you, I don't like you, and not knowing or understanding the business.
Mm-hmm.
And then just think they know and just go in on folks. And I'm not here to be her spokesperson or defend her. I'm just saying if that was anyone else in that position, I would say the same thing. And the powers that be were able to just get away with a lot of crap. That's all I'm saying.
Sean,
Very true. I humbly agree with that too. Yeah, I think that a lot of times, and it's just to echo what Jack said, I think a lot of times it's just because the figurehead that's attached to it that has the biggest name is usually the one that gets all the aggression, when in reality it had a lot more to do with the people who were more directly connected with that and who were the boots on the ground every day. They just walked away unscathed because we don't know their names and we don't know who they are. One of the beauties of social media is the opportunity to go ahead and put those people on blast that absolutely deserve to have their name up in lights for the things that they've done, negatively as well as positively. I think it was warranted that Taraji make that statement because I don't think the rest of the world sees what's behind the curtain. They don't see the hundreds of Band-Aids that you have to put on your feet in order to get up there and dance 100 times. They see that one scene and they just assume, oh, well, I mean, that can't be that hard. But they don't realize you have to do that same scene 13 times to get all those different angles.
Right.
And
And you have to do it, like Jack said,
that
with that same energy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want more money. Thank you.
Get me a bigger budget. Get me a bigger budget.
As soon as we get that bigger budget, baby, that's all I'm saying.
Listen.
So yeah, it's a lot. Like we said, it's a lot of dedication that goes into this work that a lot of people don't like. I remember one time I do some videography on the side, and I had to explain it to somebody. They said, well, how come it takes so long? And I said, I don't think you realize it takes I think on average 1 hour to edit 1 minute of footage. So that's why it takes a film almost a year and some change to come out, because you shot hours and hours of footage, and it takes like an hour for every minute of that footage. And it's just it's a lot of hard work to produce the kind of quality work that people want to see. And then on top of that, with so many different streaming services and all these other different methods, in order to stay relevant, you have to keep putting out product. And that's a lot of hard work.
Yep. It really, really is.
We still love you, Taraji. I'm not mad. I just feel like, there is something to be said about speaking on things that you only see on the surface and not understanding the details. And hopefully this will open someone's eyes to what is actually occurring in the background. And as we get ready to close, I have another question for you all. And I've been talking about identity for the last couple of weeks and what that looks like. What does it feel like to add on different labels, or if labels have been removed from you? So because you guys are in the space of acting, how do you all protect your own identity in this space, especially as Black artists? Because I'm sure you are bumping up against a world that may sometimes not be friendly. You can't get the work because the roles are written for a certain type, or how it's written, the descriptors that are utilized for the roles that you want or they want to put you in, like angry Black man, maybe. That might be something that is, listen, we get that in corporate America. So I know it's defined in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you protect your own identity in this space?
You stand firmly on what you want. I believe you, and I believe Jack would agree with me here. You stand firmly on what you want. You put yourself out there for the type of work that you want. You make sure that you present yourself a certain way. And if I can be completely honest, even though people see me on social media, I don't think they realize if you don't know me, you can't define who I am based on what you see on social media, because I don't really put that much out about my personal life on social media. It might seem like that, but to really, really know me might seem like I'm very stern or I'm very aggressive and so on, which that is a facet of my personality, but you don't know everything about me. So I think that's the best way you can protect who you are, is to not be so forthcoming with the general public, because they are not going to be nice about who you are. You give them exactly what you need, and that's it. Other than that, I don't put a whole lot out. You won't see a ton of it. I put out my opinions here and there on some things, but if you really want to get to know me, you have to step from behind the screen and come talk to me face to face.
I like that. I know. I was like, oh, okay.
Let's sit down with your full chest this morning. All right. Miss Howell, King Howell, what are your thoughts about identity?
There's this line from a Maya Angelou poem that I have on all of my emails that says, "Your description of me doesn't fit my tongue." And I live by that, right? So for me, I am in a space, and maybe that's why I didn't work so much as an actor. Maybe I was too picky, but I never wanted to be, as Jen would always say, and I don't know if I can cuss on this show, but as Jen would say, I ain't trying to be third bitch on the left, right? That was never a goal of mine. That was never. So I remember I went for one audition and I was a nurse living in Brooklyn. And I'm going in and I'm reading the lines, and they're like, "No, you're too proper. She's from Brooklyn, do or die. And, I need you." And I was like, so this woman is educated enough to be a nurse and all the rigors it takes to become a nurse, but she's still going to be. And I have no problems with that, because we come in so many beautiful shades. And so I love all layers of us, but don't think there's only one way to play a role. Like, I don't like that. So I think for me, and that's another reason why I became a writer, because I want to represent all layers of us. And my proudest moment was after we filmed this last episode of Sesame Street. I'm downstairs in the media room, and my kid is literally doing a skit, and she's going, "Action." And then she's like, "No, cut. No, that's not the way I want it." And I taped her. She's like, "No, that's not the way I want it. Can we try it this way?" "Okay, action." And that meant everything to me, because she's watching, she's learning, she's like taking it in. And I'm like, this is like real time representation matters. You know what I'm saying? So as Sean said, it's about knowing your worth and knowing what you want to be and don't want to be. I wish I could remember the actress's name. She's on this amazing show. Oh my God, I can't remember, but she said that she was very clear about what she wanted to do and how she wanted to be represented and what role she wanted to take. And she's like, I didn't work for a long time. And now she's the lead. She's number one on that call sheet on her show. And I wish, it's a really good legal drama, and I watch it. Ramla Muhammad created it, and I cannot remember the name of it. Lord, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, y'all. I'm sorry. But yes.
When I'm with these two, they drop all these TV shows because they are constantly watching
Yes.
TV shows, which is good, right? Because that's their craft. And I'm over here
Yeah.
like, listen, I'm still watching Law and Order SVU season 1. Okay, so like,
Great show.
I
Great
watch
show.
all the things.
Great
I
show.
watch all the things. So
You're way behind on the seasons, though. You got to catch up. We're on like season 30 now.
No. I restart all the Law and Order seasons because I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, me too. I ain't gonna lie.
Order for you. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you guys drop how do they reach you? If we want to see you, Sean, doing your spoken word, listen to your album, drop it in the chat so Roba can put that out. Jacqueline King,
Sure.
if they want to know how to find more about you, drop it in the chat so we can put that out there. And so guys, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for like revealing some of the layers. Thank you for allowing me to be in your world, right? And so that means I'm gonna drag y'all to political stuff all the time. But I do more than politics, right? But the thing is that I am blessed that I've been able to share your journeys. And Jay, you and I go way back, and I love you to death. And to see you blossom as a writer, as someone that is passionate, who we've been able to bounce ideas and talk and just be good sister girls to each other is super important in this space. And that's why, also we're Tauruses, so we understand the life. So listen, that's why we here. That's why we still here. And then Sean, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your world and see more, and even being mean to me back in the day because I got the emails. It was just not Let me just say this. It was probably, I don't know you, so don't come and ask me anything kind of conversation. That's the grace I'm giving him, because right now.
I was probably very critical. I will agree. I am very stern on my writers. I am. I have to admit.
That's all right. I don't have a problem. I am. So we're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to drag me to do spoken word at some point in time.
Yes, I will.
That is something that I'm challenging myself to do in Atlanta. Y'all hold me accountable to that. Except for Mr. Cleveland, Ohio. Don't say nothing to me about it because I know it's coming. But I want to say this. 7, drop in. Follow directions, baby. Follow directions.
What you need me to do?
Drop in there how to find your info.
Gotcha.
So as we close, y'all, I'm bossy. If y'all didn't know, we bossy.
And then she says I'm mean.
Well, right? Me and bossy are two separate issues. Just gonna say.
All right. Okay.
Two separate issues. But I do want to say this in closing. So know, first of all, that you can protect your own identity. Don't let the world define you. Let's be real clear. Don't let the world define you. You have to know who you are before you enter in these spaces, y'all. Otherwise, y'all will fall for all the okie dokes, as well as you will absorb the labels that people have for you that are probably unseen and so untrue. I want to say that. Black History Month, we are closing Black History Month, but Black History is never done. So you guys keep fighting for the spaces that you're in. Also, I forgot to shout out, we are all Caribbean people on here. So thank you on that. And so we all about that life, all about that Caribbean. Right. Because Caribbean voices need to be uplifted too outside of the Caribbean. Or Britain, and I don't know. Well, I do know why we're getting lost in the shuffle here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Great conversation on a different day, but the conversation is real. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. Last thing I want to say is have an amazing rest of the week. I am off to, I think today or tomorrow kicks off Jubilee weekend in Selma, Alabama. So I am off to Selma. I think they call it Jubilee weekend. Someone's got to tell me why they call it Jubilee weekend, because that was a horrendous act, walking across the bridge, the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And so I'm going to do that for the first time. My other company, Community First, shout out. We are going to have a panel discussion. So look for that, because we might actually, I don't know if we're going to go live, but we will be doing all the things. Celebrate your history, celebrate who you are, keep using the word and understand how powerful the word is, because words are powerful, y'all.
Very.
Thank you to Jacqueline King Howell for joining us from California. Go get some sleep, sis.
Girl.
Chambers 7, Sean T. Singletary, who I love so very much. Thank you for joining me this morning. Yoruba, thank you. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
In closing, people, if ladies, I am looking for 10 women to join me in a group. If you are ready to take your life to the next level, that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about our identity. We're going to talk about how we need to transform our lives. You know how to reach me. Drop your name in Facebook, Kiddada Esmera Gray. Yoruba, let's wrap. Time to eat, y'all. Time for breakfast. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Have a great
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Gray and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.